Hello, it's Shade. Welcome to our Freebie Friday video. Today's question is regarding HOAs, homeowners associations. And the question is, how much do I have to be worried about the HOA notices when I receive the notices? And the HOA notices of violation just means that the homeowners association believes that you've broken one of their rules or laws, as they call them. They're usually restrictions on how you can use your property and things that you can do or not do. And sometimes there are actually rules on whether you need a permit to, for instance, add a garage or add an additional driveway to your property. And so the HOAs are there really to make sure that the property values don't get negatively affected by the actions of the homeowners in the community. So, for instance, if I have a house and somebody else has a house in the neighborhood and I keep my house really run down and not really take care of the property, well, and there's some other homeowners in the community that do the same, ultimately that's going to affect the average market value of the property in that area, in the subdivision. So that is why the HOAs were put in place in the first place, and they're governed by a board of directors, and there's usually a manager that helps the board to enforce and to make sure everything is running smoothly in the neighborhood. In exchange for those services of this board and the HOA, the homeowners have to pay monthly, like a monthly dues, a monthly subscription type fee called the assessment. So the assessment is different from the fines. The fines are for violations of the restrictions. The assessments are a standing payment that you make every month anyway. And sometimes they have special assessments if the HOA believes that the common areas need to be updated or fixed, such as the swimming pools, or if they have a play area for the kids, then they would sometimes ask for a special assessment, and that is usually done by voting. So the notices that you're getting that are about violations, those cannot give the HOA the power to do a foreclosure on the home. However, if you're behind on the assessments, then they can actually have the power to do a foreclosure. And so when you get the notices of violation, make sure to do whatever you need to do, or definitely go onto the HOA's website or approach them and ask to see the restrictions. So there's a document that's called the CCRs, and it has all of those laws in there, and you want to familiarize yourself with the laws to make sure that they're not asking you to do something that is not even in the books, in the rules. So get familiar with those rules, and if you want to challenge them based on the fact that they're wrong, then you have to know what the rules actually say. The other defense that you could put up is a lot of homeowners talk about selective enforcement, which means that the homeowners association was looking the other way in the past, or looking the other way for certain homeowners, and now they're wanting to enforce the rule against you particularly. So then sometimes you can talk about, oh, you're being selective in the way that you're enforcing the rules, and that for that reason you don't believe that you need to be fined. So they will give you proper notice under the law usually, because they have to give you notice of an opportunity to defend yourself, an opportunity to have a hearing if you want to. Usually within 30 days of the notice, you should ask for a hearing, and then they'll give you an opportunity to also cure the issue, like to take care of it, for lack of better terms. So if you feel like the HOA's judgment is not being used properly, or if you feel like they're being discriminatory against you or arbitrary in the way that they're enforcing the laws around the community, then you want to bring up that defense that I mentioned, selective enforcement. And that sometimes will just mean that they've waived their right to enforce in the past, therefore they shouldn't be able to enforce against you, or that they're not being fair and reasonable in the way that they're enforcing the laws. So those are the things you can bring up. Also, if it's already been over 4 years since the thing that they're complaining about happened, they might have waived their right to enforce in the first place because of the limitation period. It's usually 4 years in Texas. And I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions about a particular violation notice, definitely reach out to a lawyer if you feel like you cannot handle it on your own. And there are lawyers that do this type of law. And also remember that the assessment is different from the fines. So the assessment is the one that might cause a foreclosure. So be very careful to make sure that your assessments are up to date, that you're making the payments on those regularly. All right. And if you have any issues making the payments, the law requires them to approach you with a payment plan, or at least consider a payment plan if you offer one. So just keep that in mind as well. And I hope that you're enjoying this beautiful weekend. And as always, we'll talk to you on the next video. Send us your questions and we'll be happy to answer them. Happy Friday.